What's up, everybody? We're about to go live with Kevin Ross. Let me see if I can get him on here. Alright, this should work now.
Yeah.
My man!
What up, brother? How you doing?
What's up, bro? How are you?
Just another day in paradise.
I'm excited for this, man. I brushed my teeth. I put deodorant on.
I did that too, so I guess we're both ready to go.
Hey, can you wipe your camera? I think it's foggy.
Yeah, it's actually I have a screen over it because it's my art iPad, so unfortunately it comes with the territory.
Alright.
I mean, if it's a real problem, I can jump on my phone.
No, I just want to show people how pretty you are.
Well, I'm not nothing compared to you, so I gotta put this glowy effect on it.
All right, man. So how are you? Kev, you there?
And we're back.
All right.
Yes, sir.
So how's it going, man? How's this quarantine been treating you?
I can't complain. It sucks not being able to go to the gym and stuff, but as far as everything else, I mean, I pretty much keep to myself and stay home and don't really go out anyway. So comparatively to most people, it's not that different for me.
Yeah, I agree. I've still been doing the same thing, training as much as I can at home. Obviously can't do intense training, but it's still
Yeah,
something. I'm actually trying
yeah,
to look at it
yeah.
as a positive, where it's letting our bodies rest.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's true. It's probably good for all of us not to be brutalized every day for a little bit.
yeah, we don't get that often.
No,
So
take advantage.
speaking of resting, what was your most difficult injury that you had to deal with?
I mean, they're all
I know you've
difficult in
had quite a
different
few.
ways. I don't know why I'm just plagued with injuries all throughout my career, but it's actually, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's been helpful to have to go through those difficult things because they happen whether you have injuries or not. So, kind of learning that process has been helpful. But yeah, the biggest one was the knee for sure because that one I mean that was one where it was like I don't even know if I'll be able to train again, let alone fight again or particularly fight at a high level again. So like right after surgery, I'm laying in bed in agony for a week, and those kinds of thoughts are what was going through my mind, like how am I going to do this, can I do this? And it really just started with, like most things, like I am going to do this. I don't care how long it takes or how hard it is or how difficult things may be. I just made up my mind that I'm going to get back.
Yeah, I think that's the key, to make up your mind. And we actually had a question from somebody named Akash Singh, and he was asking, how do you manage failure and setbacks? So that's a perfect answer. I think it's just to
Yeah.
what's up, Tiffany Tattoos? That's a perfect way. Set your mind onto something and don't look back. You just keep going forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most important thing is no matter what you do, it's going to be difficult. I mean, if you want to do something substantial anyway, if you have goals, it's always going to be difficult. You're always going to have injuries. You're always going to have bad days. You're always going to have setbacks and failures, and it's part of the process. And once you kind of understand that, they're not as detrimental when they happen. You can you have a better framework for what it is. Normally when you're not used to it, it's like the end of the world and like, oh, I can't do anything. And then you dust yourself off and all right, where am I at right now? How do I just get going and what can I do? And you just baby steps. Baby steps.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. The small steps. It's like like if you don't make you don't make like a huge transition right off the bat. It's got to be those small little steps, and those are the ones that are like unnoticeable. So if you keep making those small
Yeah.
steps, then that's what's gonna bring you to that end goal quicker and faster. Um, so what are you working on now as far as your art goes? Anything in particular? Have you
I
been
mean,
doing anything with the art?
yeah, yeah. Well, for a while I was just, trying to just maintain, and I try to, keep it, work on my art for at least a few minutes a day, so I'm maintaining that skill, and then, when projects come up, then I'll kind of pick things up, and I just got commissioned to do this painting, so that's kind of what I'm doing right now. It was actually of me and Yamato from the Fremont fight. Somebody wanted, so I'm gonna do a big piece of that.
Yeah, that was that the one with your that's not the one with your trainer, right? This is something else
No,
that
no,
you're working
no.
on?
Yeah, this is just a new thing.
Cool. And what are the plans after this whole mess is over? Are you planning on
That's
sticking with
that's the
the
question,
yeah, with um
right?
with the kickboxing or transitioning into something else?
I mean, I'd like to really kind of take the kickboxing as far as I can. I've never wanted to go back and forth, which is also why I never wanted to get going with like MMA or even the boxing. It was like, if I'm gonna do it, I want to be all in or not at all. And it's difficult when you're bouncing back and forth because you're taking a little bit away from each thing. So for me, I
Yeah.
did play around with the idea of like, yeah, I could just go get a Thai fight and scratch that itch real quick and then go back. But at the same time, I feel like I've put so much time in now and progressed so much that I don't want to let go of that. And I really want to kind of keep going with this for as long as I can.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's also key. That goes back to the word focus, and just sticking to something, one thing, and becoming great at that one thing. If you have too
Yeah.
many things going around, then you're, jack of all trades and master of none. But I think it's, I mean,
Yeah, it's
and I
tricky.
don't want to,
It's
I
a
don't want
tricky
to
thing.
say that's bad if that's something that like a person is into and wants to learn a lot of different things, then so be it. But I would like to just be great at one thing and that's it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I
I mean, I've
agree
always
with
felt that way too.
yeah. Are you have you been watching a lot of like movies and stuff like that, TV shows?
Yeah, a lot
You
of
Netflixing and
shows.
chilling?
Yeah. We just watched the Carnival Row thing. It's on Amazon Prime. That was pretty dope.
Yeah.
It was Orlando Bloom, and you know we just got through that. So yeah, I was watching. A lot of times it's just stuff to have on while I'm working on other things, though. I'm not really paying too much
Yeah, that's
attention.
true. Yeah, I agree with that. Are you into Guy Ritchie, the director? He
Yeah,
made
I love all his work.
Snatch. Yeah. Did you see that new one, The Gentleman?
Mm. It's weird. I tried to watch it twice, and something about it was just bothering me. I don't know, I don't know what it was. It was almost as if, like when people try too hard to like replicate other things they've done in the past,
Yeah.
and as opposed to coming off with that kind of original, real vibe. I don't know. It felt kind of forced to me in a way, and I don't know. I think I'm really like sensitive to that because I really like those things. As the years have gone by, just bother me more and more. So as soon as I feel it, I just can't. I can't do it. And it's probably, a really cool, great movie. I couldn't get do it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I when I started watching, I was like, man, what the fuck? This guy, like, this is definitely not in line with what he's been doing. But then as the story progressed, I
Oh
started
yeah,
liking it a lot more, and by the end, it was an
yeah.
awesome movie, I think.
Oh, that, I mean, I'll probably try to get through it. You know what it did feel like to me was as if somebody else was trying to emulate his style. You know,
Yeah,
like they were like somebody else was trying to copy his style, and that was the
right,
movie.
right.
So I don't know. Maybe he just wasn't as involved like he used to be, or lost a little something. But yeah, I'll try to watch it again and see if I can get through the whole
Yeah.
thing.
And by the way, are you able to read questions or no?
Yeah, I can see him.
All right, cool. Because people are asking questions, so if you wanna knock some of those out of the park, because I got questions here too. Feel
Jeez.
free.
A bunch of people asked if I left CSA. Yeah, I left like I don't know 2 years ago, maybe. I left. What did I mean? Technically, I left right a couple months before I fought Varga. I moved down south, and then I was traveling back and forth training. I'd go up there for like 6 weeks at a time, and then I just transitioned fully down to. And it, you know, people think like something happened. It was I'd always planned on doing this. It was just life and career, but it wasn't a like personal problem or anything like that.
Yeah. Um, is there any difference between where you're at now? You're in San Diego.
Yeah, I go back and forth between San Diego and LA really, but most of my training is
How
down there in
is
San Diego.
Yeah, how's the life in like San Diego versus where you were before? Is it slower or faster?
Not for me. Like I said, I'm really I mean, I kind of always do
Yeah,
what I do regardless of where I'm at in the world. You know, it's like I'm focused on my training and what
right,
I'm
right.
getting ready for and the other things that I'm doing. I don't spend any the world of San Diego or San Francisco or Vegas, you know, very focused on what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah. Somebody was asking when you fought Sanchai, what did you learn from that experience?
What did I learn? I don't know. What did I learn? I mean, there's so many things you learn in fights that I think is difficult to really put into words. You know, like it was like after the first time I went to Thailand, he'd come back and be like, "Oh, show me what you learned." Like, well, you know, I can't really put it into words. I'm just better.
Right. It's
You
just
know what I mean?
experience, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's really what it is. Is you just gain every time you fight somebody with higher experience, you implement a lot of that knowledge and one just your confidence in your ability to fight at that level, and then two, seeing how they move, the things they use and do, good and bad, you know, just gives you more information.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, and I have a question here from Malcolm Hill. He's asking can you address the training benefits with other people better and or not experienced than you? What a fighter who is serious and taking it to the next level needs to do to get proper or valid training.
Oh, like getting good training partners.
Yeah, and you and I both experienced that.
Yeah, so obviously we both know. I mean, a lot of times you are very limited to your surroundings, particularly once you develop to a certain level. Eventually, you just run out of people to train with. You know, I mean, the level here in the States, although it's improving, how many people are really in that kind of world class status, and how many people are in that status that are your weight class that are in your vicinity. I mean, there's only a handful anyway, let alone whether they're around you.
Yeah,
So you just kind of got to learn to work with what you got, even if the people that you're training with aren't the best. There's always something you can work on. There's really there's never a time when you just can't do anything. There's always something you can do. Whether people are better, yeah, it's great if people are better than you. It's great if you're at the best gym in the world with the best coach in the world with the best equipment in the world. But even that doesn't necessarily equal success. So it's about taking advantage of what you do have and not letting what you don't have really grind you down. Or you got to pick your ass up and move and go
Yeah.
somewhere that does have those things. And it's like sometimes you get your normal training in, and then every once in a while you take a trip somewhere to get some higher level sparring or whatever else, and then you bring it back and implement that. I mean, for me, that's kind of what going to Thailand is going there, sharpening up, stepping my game up a little bit, and then coming back and continuing on all the things I've progressed with over there.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what I found worked for me is the fact that you're training with somebody that's a lower level. They're not going to be able to tell you where you're making those mistakes, especially those small little minute details, because those are the things that the somebody with much more experience is going to catch. So what you have to do, to answer Malcolm's question, is you have to actually think about what your opponent is doing right and wrong, and then what you're doing right and wrong. So you have to think about the full picture. So when you're training hitting pads, you have to think about, okay, where am I leaving myself exposed? Where am I leaving myself open? What my pad holder can see, or even when you're sparring, obviously, as well. So that's what really helped me out tremendously, and that's what helped me sharpen up my eye as well. That's what conditioned me as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
important to learn early to be self-reliant, not to have somebody constantly on your back, like telling you to go run, go hit the bag, go get your reps in, and learning how to recognize kind of where you're limited or making errors. You can't always have somebody telling you what's right and wrong. You got to figure it out for yourself. And the sooner you can do that, the more options you're going to have moving forward. Then you can train with people who are bigger, smaller than you, more experienced, less experienced, because there's really benefit in what everybody does to one extent or another, even if it's learning things that you shouldn't be doing. If somebody's worse than you, kind of watch where their openings are and how they move,
yeah,
and because you're going to fight somebody where you're going to need that information.
right. And to go a little further on, if you're fighting against somebody or sparring against somebody that's not as good as you, then you work on certain things that you feel like you need improvement. You challenge yourself and maybe just do a round just hitting knees.
Yeah,
You tell yourself, okay, this round I'm not going to let him score any points. I'm blocking every single kick he throws, and I'm only returning with knees.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, you just have to always challenge yourself more
Yeah,
until you
you almost look at it like isolation sparring, where you're limited to what you can do. Like I used to train with like little kids. What I would do with the kids is I'd keep my hands down and just work on my vision because I know they can't hurt me. Work on rolling with punches and minimizing damage. That it's going to be beneficial once you bring it up to somebody who can hurt you. That's a time to practice these things, not just stomp people out because you're better than them.
right, exactly. Yeah, because at the end of the day, when you walk into that ring with somebody who's the same experience as you or more experience, then you're all those lies are gonna come up that
Yeah,
you
well,
made for
that's
yourself.
why most people that do that don't ever get in the ring.
Right, exactly. Let me go off another question. It says by Kevs56, as an up and coming fighter who wants to go pro and travel, how do you plan that journey to another country to look for fights and build structure?
How do you plan it?
Yeah.
Get some money. Yeah, I mean, that's always like a big thing is once you get to another place like Thailand or Australia or England, it's easier to get fights there and get experience, but you got to kind of stay there and put the time in, just like you would here. For me, it was get as much experience as you can on the amateur level and on the national level, and then once you've kind of done as much as you can, then you kind of graduate to pro, then you graduate to staying overseas and, you know, going through that whole process.
Yeah, I'm just reading somebody's comment. It says, this is directed towards me. Time for a good fade or a haircut.
Dude, I cut my own hair. I
No
did my.
can do right now. That's a pretty slick fade right there. I'm a
Thanks,
little jelly right now.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, that's
I was
nice.
getting out of control. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I can't deal with
What
this
did you do
anymore.
for the back? How do you get the back?
Mirror.
Yeah, I don't think I have the dexterity for that.
That's the hard one because everything's backwards.
Yeah,
And you're trying to, yeah, you have to totally like melt your brain into a different dimension. But it's really helpful. Like a lot of these things, I look at them as kind of mental exercises, coordination exercises. And if you look at it that way, it's just it's more like homework.
yeah. Hey, let me ask you a personal question. How do you feel about those like all those exercises that help with like hand-eye coordination? You know, like the tennis ball that you attach here and then you like
Hmm.
punch, and then those like lights that you have to hit. How do you feel about that as far as translating it into our sport where you're going in the ring and fighting? What are your
Yeah,
personal opinions on that?
that's a personal question.
Yeah, because I got my personal answer
Oh,
for that
well,
too.
there's so many things like that that are they're beneficial additional tools that do help with things, but like I mean, it's like a lot of things, doing like footwork and doing these other things. Like you don't necessarily have to do them, and they might not change your game completely, but they might let your mind and body adapt to different stimulus and like with the hand-eye coordination, you know, anytime you can exercise and train your eyes, that's helpful. Anytime you can exercise and train your feet, it's helpful, depending on what you're using it for. You know, I use a lot of those things almost as a warm-up as opposed to like a workout. You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my footwork drills, I'm gonna do my some balance stuff and hand-eye coordination, and that's just kind of to get me going in the day and to get my brain into like training mode, because it's a I mean, it's not a hindrance at all, so either way you're getting some benefit, even if it's just waking your body up.
Yeah. Um, what type of workouts do you guys do for cardio, and what advice would you give to get a guy back in shape? All the best for both.
Jeez. I guess it just depends where you're at and what you're looking to do. For me, I mean, the easiest thing to improve cardio quickly is like sprinting or like sprint type pad work where you're just crushing it. You know, it's just a matter of what it is you're working on and how much time you got. You know, it's like if you have months to prepare, you don't need to start going crazy day one. You know, you're trying to build up your strength, your foundation, your gas tank, and then you can start really implementing that high intensity stuff. So that's a pretty broad question to answer.
Yeah, I think the best answer for that is you just start. That's it. You
Yeah,
know,
just get
just go
going.
out there and do whatever it is. Go for a walk if you want, and then start with a light jog, then turn it into a run, and then, you know, just everybody knows what they have to do. In order to lose weight and get into shape, you know exactly what you need to do. You don't need me and Kevin to tell you guys that. You know, or if you want to lose weight, put the spoon down. That's
Yeah,
it. How simple is that? Just
yeah,
stop eating.
it's pretty simple. It's
And
pretty
I mean,
simple.
everybody knows what they got to do.
Yeah.
Um, what do you look for in a gym and a trainer? And favorite fights, opponents that each of you have had? So, what do you look for in a gym and a trainer? I guess this might be like if you're going to Thailand, but even if not, let's say
Yeah.
you're here looking for a gym in America.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I mean, for me, it's always just um, their kind of knowledge of and application of not just fundamentals but details. You know, very detail oriented. Anybody can replicate movement and numbers and combinations. Like that doesn't really teach you anything if you're not,
Yeah,
and if you're not giving people knowledge, all you're really doing is dancing together. and that's it. You're not gaining any information. So, and that's not to say that's necessarily bad. There's a time and a place for doing those kinds of things. But if you're not learning and progressing, then maybe you should train somewhere else.
Yeah. And what opponent favorite fights and opponents that you had?
Do I get to name multiple ones? Because I need to name multiple.
Yeah, give us two.
Oh, two? Shit. That narrows it down.
All right, you know what? Give us three because I know Sanchai is one of them.
Yeah, but it's almost like that they can't even be on the list because he's on his own list.
All right, you're right. Fuck it. Then give me
Yes.
three other ones.
So you always gotta subtract Sanchai because no matter what, he's gonna be at the top. So what are you gonna do? I would say Tomahawk, Yamato, and Malapet probably.
Why? What was good about Malapit?
I mean, in all those fights, it was even if you say maybe like I dominated the fight, I had to be like on my shit, like the people that force you to elevate your game and maintain that sharpness, skill wise and stylistically, those are my favorites, like that the ones that the people that I like to watch fight are the fights that I like to have. So all those people, we had a really good, conversation. And that's kind of what fighting is. It's conversation. Yeah. You're going back and forth. You're asking questions. They're giving you answers, and vice versa. And for me, those three really always stand out. Particularly because I loved watching those guys fight prior, and then to be in there with them, it's like I'm watching them fight me.
Yeah. What do you guys think of Lethwei as a martial art, and would you guys be down for a Lethwei fight in your life?
I from the beginning, I always wanted to do one. It just never kind of came up. What do I think about it as a martial art? Every martial art's different, or every style of fighting is different, and it comes with its own thing. Like MMA is very different from boxing, which is very different from Thai boxing, which is different from kickboxing, which is different from Lethwei. And just because you're good in one, like if you're good in Muay Thai, doesn't mean you're going to be good in Lethwei. It changes the whole dynamic of the sport. It's not even comparable. So it's just a different mountain to climb, so to say.
Yeah. Me personally, I don't mind the sport. It's just the fact that I'm too in deep with Muay Thai already, so it would just be a waste, like, Kevin was saying in the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
It would be a waste of my time if I went into something else, because I'm trying to just be great at one thing. So now that I'm in Muay Thai, that's it. That's the only thing until I achieve all the goals that I wanted to achieve. Then I can think about other sports and avenues.
Yeah.
Somebody asked, how much does it hurt when you kick shin to shin?
I don't know. I don't think it hurts at all. It hurts a lot worse, like kicking somebody in the elbow with your toe. Like that shit sucks. But again, most of that real like noticeable sharp pain is in training. In a fight, you don't have time to think about it. I always tell people it's like if you're running down the street trying to get away from somebody and you stub your toe, you're not going to stop and think about it. You're
right.
Maybe afterwards you will. So it's the same way in fighting, even though maybe things do hurt in the moment, you're already on to the next thing. So your brain can't even really recognize it. For the most part, there's a lot of things that obviously hurt, but not like not comparable to outside the ring, like in the gym when you smash your shin. You stop.
Yeah. And over the course of years, you start losing some feeling on the shins as well. So if, like, I don't know, for my shin, if even scratch it or pinch it in some points, there's like no feeling. It's just dead skin. So that's kind
Yeah,
of
I
cool
think
too.
another thing people don't recognize is as you gain experience, you're learning placement better and timing better, as well as your
Right.
shin conditioning is getting better. Where in the beginning you're just winging shit out there with no thought about anything and smashing elbows and knees and smashing your feet. So you come out of it. I mean, I used to come out of fights in the amateur days. I couldn't walk for weeks, and I'm wearing shin guards, because I'm just fucked up. Because
Yeah.
I go back and watch the fight, and like every kick is like right into the under elbow and right into the knee. I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably why it hurts.
Yeah, I remember. Have you ever like hurt yourself or hit something in like a sensitive spot and you kind of like blacked out because the pain was so excruciating? I had like I think it
I,
was like my
yeah.
fourth fight or something like that, amateur, and I did that. I hit a shin, and it was in the worst spot. It was like right on top of the foot somewhere, and I remember like
Yeah.
blacking out, like everything just went black from the pain for like a few seconds. And I was like, holy shit, I need to wake the fuck up or I'm fucked. That was like the worst pain I've experienced.
Yeah, when I was just starting out as a pro, I kicked this guy in the knee in Mexico with my foot. So like I ran at him and leg kicked him and hit his knee. And I thought, like I felt it kind of like fold around it,
Oh
and
fuck.
like time slows down, and I thought when I stepped down, my foot was just gonna explode. And yeah,
Yeah.
that was one of the worst ones.
All right, we'll do one more question from the computer, and then we'll go on the live feed.
All right.
Um, this is from a Serbian dude. All right, he wants to know: is there like a can you make like a parallel between Muay Thai and like spirituality, and also how do the Buddhist monks look at the violence in the ring in Thailand?
What was the first part? Can you look at what in spirituality?
Is there like a parallel between spirituality and Muay Thai fighting?
Oh, I think for a lot of many people there are. I don't want to say a lot, but a lot of people that are spiritually minded, they implement that into fighting. Like for myself, there is an element of spiritualism and things that maybe aren't of this world that's right in front of us. Um, I think that comes, with a lot of it's really an individual thing. So for some people, it's very much a spiritual experience, and some people it isn't. I think it just depends on the person.
Yeah. And also, how's your outlook on the coronavirus situation? And how much do you think it's gonna affect the future of Muay Thai?
Yeah, that's the tough thing. I mean, like the ramifications of this across all levels of life is I think where the real damage is. I mean, obviously that is where the real damage has happened and is going to happen. And as far as how it's going to affect sports and fighting and everything else, geez, I don't know, man. I really, we're just like in this unknown kind of dimension right now. I hope that we all get to get back in the ring, and obviously with the UFC started back up with that, and I think that was great for just humanity to see. And yeah, it might be kind of that weird thing where we're going back to the amateur days where we're fighting in front of nobody, which is whatever, fine for me.
Yeah, I think Muay Thai life in Thailand is starting back up sometime in June, mid June.
Mm.
I'm sure it's gonna be very strict with same thing, just
Yeah.
having the fighters there, the corners and judges, and that's it for probably a while. But I don't think there's gonna be much of an effect on the sport itself. I mean, it's gonna have an effect just as much as it has on every other business out there. So I think we're track to getting things back together. All right, so let's start firing off these crazy questions over here. Name one golden age fighter you'd want to fist fisticuff with. That's like a fist fight, what, right? Why can't people just say fist fight? I don't know what these words mean.
My gosh. Man.
What a weird question, by the
I
way.
want to let you. I want to let you answer
Just the
that.
teeth. You're gonna what?
I'm gonna let you answer that. I want to hear your answer.
All right, I'm gonna choose Boonlai, and that's just
Mm.
because he's one of my favorite golden era fighters. Boonlai or Karahat. Those
Oh
guys.
yeah,
Well, I mean, man, there's so many. There's
yeah,
Kansak, who by the way lives here in in Jersey.
yeah,
But yeah, man, any one of those fighters I would love to fight just because I would learn so much from them. So it's
yeah. I
nothing
mean, you could,
nothing disrespectful about that.
yeah, you could literally pick any single fighter from that entire era, and
Right, right.
geez, like unbelievable, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's such different. My father used to be a professional soccer player, and I ask him often if there's a difference between professional soccer now, like in Europe, and then if there's a difference between now and then back then when he played in the '70s. And he says, yeah, absolutely. And to me, when I watch it, it's like it's the same fucking shit. You guys are just kicking a ball around the field. But to him, those small little minute details, there's a big difference. And same
Yeah,
thing with Muay Thai nowadays. You can see a huge difference to me
yeah,
between the fighters in the '90s and then today's fighters and the way we fight. And man,
yeah.
it was just I liked it a lot better back then. It wasn't so
Well,
much
everybody
about
had,
strength and power.
yeah, everybody had their own. Every fighter was so different than all the others. None of them were the same. Very unique, very stylish, and I think in every art, in every sport, the problem starts to happen once money gets involved, unfortunately,
Yeah,
because obviously we all want it to be bigger and better, but that's when you tend to lose that element of personality and style and skill,
right.
to a degree, and like you look at boxing now, obviously the skill's better, but back then, shit, man, they were just hard. Those are some hard dudes, man. And same thing with Muay Thai. I think because the level was so high, everyone was really forced to up their own game against each other. It's like being in a gym surrounded by greats. You're gonna be forced to be great or get out.
Yeah. Much respect to both of you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Let me get another question. This is from Tris. At what age did you start fighting?
I was 23 when I had my first fight.
Here's your inspiration, guys. 23 when he started fighting, and look where he came uh, at the level he went up to.
That's when I started training too, not just when I
Right.
first had my first
Exactly.
fight. I started training then, and yeah, shit, I never thought I'd be here.
Yeah, exactly. But the reason why he's here is because he just kept going. He kept moving forward. He didn't let anything, stop him from achieving those goals. He had one thing on his mind, which is to be great and be the best that he can be. And this is where it landed him. It wasn't like I'm sure you probably didn't. Let me see what NJMT is saying. What book are you reading right now? That's for you. But let me just finish my thought. It wasn't like he thought about being okay. I want to be the champion of the world, or maybe he did. But I feel like you probably just want to be the best that you can be at something, and that was it.
Yeah, and that I was very fortunate to have to figure that out my very first fight because I got just annihilated, and prior to that, I took to this like a fish to water. I gained so much experience so quick and developed so rapidly, and then the fight happened. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm on my way. I'm just gonna go like crush this dude and like on to the next one, and then I just got just the shit kicked out of me, and I was forced to sit there and think, shit, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not meant to do this. And that what I had to come to realize was I don't care if I'm meant to do this. I don't care if I'm meant to be the best ever. I love to do this, and I'm going to be as good as I can possibly be. And being forced to face that really day one completely gave me a good perspective going into the future, because I know that that those are just circumstances, whether you win or lose fights, whether you get to certain levels or not. It's all a journey that you're on, and everyone's is very unique and different. We all can't be the greatest of all time, but you can be as good as you can be, and that's unique, and that's enough.
Yeah, good answer. And to answer my Coach Ray's question, what book are you reading right now?
I literally just finished The Obstacle is the Way. And shit, I got like 20 books. I have to a list of 20 books. I have to pick one. So I'm not reading anything. I just finished like a week ago.
Nice. I respect you and anybody else who willingly reads books. I can't do any of that stuff, man. I was horrible in school. Anytime we had like a summer reading, I would have to like beg a friend to write it out what the book was about and stuff like that.
Oh,
I just can't.
I didn't ever read in school. I refused to read, and I would do book reports on books I'd never read other than the back copy of it.
Exactly, yeah.
That's actually what kind of got me going in the writing world, because my teacher, like, one time she gave me an A, and she's like, I know you didn't read this book.
Yeah,
But she's like, you're so creative in your writing, like, I gave you an A, and you should really, you like pursue that. And
that's
I didn't
awesome.
really start. I didn't start reading books probably till I started fighting, because I was traveling overseas and stuff, and I had nothing to do. Like, the first time I went to Thailand, I didn't even have a computer, and there wasn't a TV, there wasn't anything. So I just read. I was there for 3 months. I didn't even look at a computer like once.
Yeah. Did you ever do MMA? Because somebody's asking, what's your opinion about transitioning from Muay Thai to MMA?
Yeah, I did one MMA fight, but unfortunately, it was back in the day when I just couldn't get fights, so I was taking anything I could get. I probably put in 3 weeks of going from no training to the fight,
Yeah,
and then no MMA training to the fight, and then after that, I did a lot of jiu-jitsu and wrestling and stuff, just because I really enjoy the training, but I never really had any passion or drive to do MMA. It was just a matter of I couldn't get any fights, so I was taking anything I could get. And fortunately, the Muay Thai and kickboxing world progressed after that, and I was able to start being more consistent.
cool. Ivan from Serbia is saying hello from Serbia.
Hello.
Um, have you ever fucked somebody up that you didn't like in Muay Thai? If so, who was it?
I've only ever fought one person that was really bothered me, and that's just because we fought once, and then there was a lot of kind of shadiness in the first fight, and I fought in a really pissed off, angry way, which for me is backfired completely, and I felt like shit. But fortunately, I snapped out of it, and was able to turn things around, and knock him out. But that was the only person I ever fought that I had kind of a personal issue with, and it wasn't good for me. some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
some people need to be angry, like Joe Schilling. He's angry. He's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. And but for me, it does the opposite. It messes me up. It gets in my head, and I can't fight. Like, I'm very kind of methodical, and yeah, I'm aggressive and pressure and all that other stuff. But there's no emotion behind it, and for me,
Yeah, for me, it's just a task. That's it. It's a job, and that's it.
yeah.
And I agree with you. If I get emotional, then it's just gonna work to my disadvantage.
Mhm.
Um, what fight did you both feel most comfortable in? What did you guys change in your training camp?
Jeez, most comfortable? I don't know. It's almost. I mean, a lot of them. It's usually after the fact, and you look back and be like, "Oh yeah, I guess I felt really comfortable in there." I would say it's for me. It's more about moments than the whole fight was just like cruising, because even the fights where I'm dominating, a lot of times maybe I'm dominating someone that's not very good. So I'm
Right.
not comfortable with that. I'm like, this
Yeah.
sucks. I want to get out of here.
Um, was there a time in your life when you lost the fight and you said, "I'm not made for boxing"?
Yeah, my first fight. My first fight. And there's been a couple like when I had two back-to-back knockout losses. That was uh, Yamato 2 and Rungrat. After that, it was, you know, especially at this age and stage of my career, it's like maybe I can't do this anymore. You know, maybe physically I can't do this anymore. I love it. I'm training my ass off. I still felt like I was progressing, but I started questioning whether my body could take it anymore, and that was a difficult kind of hurdle to mentally get over. Um, um, yeah, but I think that always happens to a degree when you lose, or maybe you get dropped with something or hurt with something that normally wouldn't bother you. That those kind of questions go through your mind. I feel like I have just as many questions now that I did the day I started. Like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know how long I can do this. I don't know if I'm going to be good at this. I'm That's never gone away from me. You know, it's just you understand that that's there. You're always going to have doubts and questions. It's just a matter of whether you want to go forward or not.
Yeah, and that's what I see with a lot of these some of these people that ask these questions. They think that, uh, people at a higher level don't go through the same issues and problems that they
Mm.
do. But I, like you said, I have doubts as well every single day. But it's just the difference between, are you gonna stop doing what you're doing or continue moving forward, whether you have those doubts or not. And it's
Mm.
same thing with fear. The only difference is, we're able to manage our emotions when we have fear and when we go into a fight, versus somebody who can manage their emotions, and then they break under pressure and either get hurt in a fight or quit and never return. So
Yeah.
that's the only difference. We're exactly the same people. It's just one group of people is able to manage it and go forward. The other group isn't able to manage it. It's like that fight or flight mechanism.
Yeah, that was always a really big realization for me early on. Fortunately, I got to be around a lot of higher level people with a lot of experience, and I got to see that they were like petrified to fight. And I'm like, why are you scared? You got like 200 fights. Like, yeah, but I this is new. This is I don't want to look bad. I don't want to, you know, lose. I don't want to get hurt. Of course. So that doesn't go away. And even if it's just for me, it's much more of a kind of a performance issue thing. Like I always want to just do my best. You know, I don't think or get overly concerned with maybe getting injured or losing or anything like that. I just want to know that I did my very best in there and I didn't hold back and I didn't take any shortcuts. So I think everybody's level of and reason for anxiety and fear and doubt is very different. Like, you know, mine is different than other people are like, I'm really just scared to like get hit and it's petrifying. Like I never had that, but I had more of a performance anxiety type of fear that I deal with.
Yeah. Who had the hardest kicks out of anyone you've fought?
Fucking Malapet by 100 miles.
Wow, really?
Dude, oh my gosh, like I don't know, I just have like nightmares from that because it was one of those things where even in the fifth round when he was exhausted, there was so much force and weight behind them, and his freaking legs are like the size of my whole body, you know,
Yeah.
and especially for me, like I came up watching him fight, watching him just murder foreigners like it's a joke, you know, like laughing while he's breaking them in half. And I never thought we would fight because he was like 15 pounds heavier than me. So it was
Right.
never even a conscious thought like maybe one day this is going to happen, and level wise too. And then when it got offered, I was like, all right, fuck it, let's go, let's
Yeah.
do it.
The hardest kicker I fought, he was it was a fight in Rajasthan Stadium, and it was against the Thai. And I remember after the fight, my whole this like bone right here, whatever it is, tibia, fibula, ulna radial, I don't know what it is, but it hurt for like a month and a half after that fight, and all the muscles here were like, I don't know, it was like nerve damage or something. I wasn't able to like make a fist or lift up my arm properly. It was so painful after that experience.
Yeah, both of my elbows have all this scar tissue in them from that fight. All these little like bumps of scar tissue. So if
Yeah,
I like if I rest on my elbow, even on a bed, sometimes I'll fall to the ground in agony because it like presses into the scar tissue.
yeah, it's part of the game. Um, God damn it, I lost my place. All right, here it is. Do you prefer to fight back to back or give yourself time in between fights?
I'd fight every day if I could. Obviously, injuries and those kinds of things always you got to take into account. For me, it was like I always wished I had the option to fight maybe every month or every 2 months. And then, if you can't, you can't. But that was always the most difficult thing for me because, being here in the States is like you can't, even if you're not ready for a fight, you kind of just got to take it regardless because that's the only way you're going to get this experience. If you pass on one, the next one might not be for a year. You don't
Yeah,
know. And so I kind of came up that way, which was always stay ready, fight anytime, anywhere, anyone that you can because you gain experience. And that was the only way I was able to progress the way I did. Because if I waited, I mean, half my fights were against people that weren't even in my same weight class. And the majority of my fights were against people who were so far more experienced than me. Most people thought it was like ridiculous, but I just kind of always had that mindset. Like no matter what, I'm getting better. I'm gaining experience. I might be gaining a lot of damage too, but you gotta take the good with the bad.
yeah, I agree. That's the mentality to have. Um, Kev's 56. I answered that question before, so just wait until I repost this video. How do you feel during a fight?
Like,
Awesome.
fucking awesome. I mean, every fight's different, I would say, and some fights for me, as long as I'm in there with a high level person, I you don't really have time to think. So for me, it's not really about how am I feeling in this moment. If I'm thinking about how I feel, something's wrong. Something's
Yeah,
going terribly wrong, or I'm fighting someone that I shouldn't be fighting.
right.
Most of the time, you're just kind of in a rhythm, or you're not, or you're in the flow, or you're not, and trying to get back to there. It's not really a conscious thought. I think that's why a lot of, at least for me, all my fights that were really good, I don't really have many recollections or memories of because you're just in that fight zone.
Yeah. Hard sparring or technical sparring?
Because that depends. I feel there's a time and a place for everything. More often than not, we're doing way more hard sparring than we should. For a variety of reasons. I think as you're coming up, it's very important to know that you can kind of take some damage and just be in the fire and all these things. But as you progress, you start getting a lot more technical with it, and even then, we can have hard sparring sessions, but we're not really risking the injuries that we were 10 years ago because of our experience level and
Right.
and all of that. So as you progress, you can go harder with less risk of injury. It's there's a balance to everything. So if you're just damaging yourself just to beat the shit out of each other, nobody's getting any better. It
Right.
doesn't really benefit you, so it's kind of pointless to a degree.
All right, we got some time for a couple more questions. We're about to hit an hour, so the live feed is going to go off. Do you prefer to stay in a clinch, you're dominating, or score a nice sweep?
Uh, I mean, I always like to sweep people.
Yeah,
So, and you know, I've never been much of a stay in a clinch fighter. So, you know, for me, that it was always like, yeah, I'll land a couple knees and I'm gonna toss you on your head.
yeah. Sweeps are definitely satisfying. Did you realize in first round your opponent better than you?
Well, almost all of them were better than me. So, yeah, it was more like, oh, yeah, obviously he's really good. Not
Yeah,
really.
that's like the time where you to further answer his question, where the time where you start to learn your opponent's rhythm. So yeah, you can probably gauge whether how much experience the your opponent has or doesn't have. So first second round is probably the that time. What's up, Eddie Abalaso?
Absolutely.
I'm solo. God damn it. Which are the things you change when you are near the date of the fight?
Things that change. I mean, I would say you change. For me, it's just a progressive things become that much more intense, that much more strict. Just your attitude and behavior starts changing into just that fight mode where you're
Yeah.
just kind of a mindless serial killer, you know. And I think that definitely the last week I really feel that just shift to you're just a fighter now. You're barely human to a degree.
Yeah, it is a great feeling.
Yeah,
Definitely.
like you know, like I'm dialed in.
Yeah.
I'm ready to hurt and be hurt, and I can take it
Yep.
and I can give it out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining me and Kevin. I hope to do this again with Kevin. He's definitely an inspiration to all of us, and especially Kevin. You're what 40 years old? 40 years old now.
I'll be 40 in July.
Yeah, and you guys see his mentality. He's still ready to continue doing what he does. So that gives me a lot of confidence because I'm 34 and I'm getting up there in age. And the last thing I want to ever do is quit this sport because this is the only thing that I truly love, and that makes me happy. So he's doing it at 40. He's able to do it at 40 with all the injuries that he's had in his life. So that's inspirational to me as well.
I appreciate it, man. It was really great talking to you, and we should definitely do this again.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
All right,
brother.
man.
There it is.
See you guys.